Hello, I'm Kate Driver, Naturopath and the Perimenopause Practitioner. And today I wanted to ask you if you're having any strange symptoms in your perimenopause or menopause transition and you're wondering what you can do about it because what you're doing now isn't happening or working for you. Today I'm going to talk about the vagal nerve and its role in a lot of symptoms that are either the mystery symptoms that you're having or the symptoms that are not just going away with even some natural therapies that you're undertaking. So the vagal nerve is something that is so important for everybody at every stage of their lives, but with the hormone changes in perimenopause and menopause, it can become underactive and not function as efficiently as it normally does. So our vagal nerve starts at the brainstem, and it's actually two nerves that wander on both sides of like the body, through the neck at the start of the brainstem, and then they wander through the different organs which are connected to different organs. So these nerves actually innervate these organs and they help control what happens with these organs. So for instance, it can regulate your blood pressure, your breathing, your digestive system, your gut microbiome, your gallbladder contraction, and things like your digestion, your mood, and your heart rate are all controlled by this vagal nerve. And the vagal nerve controls the parasympathetic nervous system, which is one part of the autonomic nervous system that is called your rest and digest, which we all really need to be in all of the time. Most people, and this might be you, because it's harder to stay in the rest and digest when you're in perimenopause and menopause, you might be in your fight or flight or your sympathetic nervous system arm, which is sympathetic dominance basically. And really, a lot of people, can be in this all the time and say that they're just sort of in fight and flight all the time. They're running on empty, they're running on stress. Or some people say they're running on their adrenal glands. So the adrenal glands are the ones that are pumping out these stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline and noradrenaline. So we want to spend most of our time in this parasympathetic mode, and one way to do that is actually look after your vagus nerve and tone this vagus nerve because it's so important. When I started looking into it, maybe about, I'm just trying to think, 10 years ago, I have studied it on and off over the years. I realised how important it was for so many different health disorders, including autoimmune disorders and inflammatory disorders, because the vagal nerve controls inflammation and things like digestive issues. And now we know so much more about it that, research is coming out all the time about loads of different things. But this is really exciting because then we know how we can help get ourselves into more of a rested and calm state when we just feel like everything is completely crazy in an already crazy world. But when your hormones are changing, this is what happens. So in the perimenopause, the progesterone, when that drops, that actually helps regulate something called GABA, and that is a neurotransmitter that actually has a calming effect and puts you in that rest and digest and puts the brakes on all of those stress hormones. So when the progesterone drops, this is probably one of the first things that can happen in perimenopause, that you might start feeling anxious and not sleep well, and you might feel irritable all the time. Then, estrogen can go up and down, so it could be a little bit all over the place in perimenopause. But once menopause actually means there's a decline in your estrogen, then that actually controls your acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter also that acts on the brain, and that reduces your vagal nerve function. And they all work together to keep you in this parasympathetic state or the rest and digest state. So these hormones have a big influence on your body and how you're feeling through these stages. So something that a lot of people overlook is actually helping regulate this part of the nervous system and your vagal nerve, and you can do exercises and so many things in your lifestyle and diet that can be helpful. So I'd love to actually briefly touch on that now and give you some tips. So with the vagal nerve, I actually love telling my clients, and I've been doing it for years myself, is to do some gargling. So if you're going to drink water anyway, and you should be, then you just gargle water. Generally, perhaps just doing morning and evening. I like to have 2 big glasses of warm water in the morning, gargle them, each sip you gargle for as long as you can, not hold your breath, but not have to swallow, and do that for, if it's all broken gargles, but, perhaps a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes. Morning and evening, that'd be great because that stimulates and tones your vagal nerve, and it's particularly good when you have digestive issues and things like GERD or reflux, or digestive issues like bloating or slow digestion or even constipation. Then the warm water and the gargling can help that gut-brain connection. Something else you can do is loud singing, which is great because or humming, because anything that sort of vibrates the back of your throat there. And laughing is actually fantastic too, because it puts you in that more relaxed state, but also stimulates that vagal tone and that vagal nerve. And just even having fun can put you into that state. But also meditation and deep breathing is really important. And then you've got yoga and even things like acupuncture and craniosacral therapy, which I absolutely love, can also help tone and keep you in that vagal nerve parasympathetic state. So there's some great things that you can do in your lifestyle. You could also look at making sure in your nutrition that you have magnesium, some of those omega-3 fats, even probiotics. There's certain strains of probiotics that can help with that gut-brain connection. And then looking after your adrenal glands is so important because these control those stress hormones. And I like to, if people are exhausted and they need some support with minerals, get people to add Celtic sea salt to their drinking water and their food throughout the day. And this can help give you the minerals that your adrenal glands need. And then again, the magnesium is really important. Magnesium and vitamin C are really important to nourish the adrenals, particularly when you're feeling quite stressed and burnt out and overstimulated or overstressed. Sometimes B vitamins aren't great, and magnesium and vitamin C are better. And then you can always look at the adaptogen herbs, which a lot of people talk about. And I won't mention too many different ones because everybody's going to need something a little bit different. They all work quite differently, but they help the body adapt to stress and help the adrenals function. They can help balance out the cortisol dysfunction that sometimes people have. And then for the GABA, we can actually look at the supplement called GABA, but also magnesium helps with that. Magnesium glycinate particularly, vitamin B6, glutamine and L-theanine are all really good for this production of GABA, and also which means that they're going to put the brakes on these stress hormones. And then we've got things that are rich in acetylcholine, which you can get through diet. I like sunflower lecithin personally, you can get it in supplement form, but also it's found in eggs and liver, oily fish as well. So these tips can actually help your vagal nerve function more efficiently, keeping you in that less stressed state, in that calmer state, and rest and digest, and support your GABA and your acetylcholine production. And you should be feeling a lot better sooner than later. And give yourself at least a few weeks doing some of these and making these changes before you start seeing any effects. If you'd like to know a bit more or have any questions or comments, then please comment below. I'd love to hear if you have any experience with working on your vagal nerve or any of this through this time of your life. And if you'd love to grab any of my freebies, including the Ditch the Hormone Drama Guide, that talks a lot about how you can support this high cortisol and stress in your life, working through the adrenal glands particularly, and that guide is in the link below, in the comments below. You can grab that for free, and I'd love to see you. Hit subscribe if you haven't, and you can follow me for more videos that are coming up very soon. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.